The capitalist begins with money, purchases commodities, produces something, and finishes with more money. The extra value does not appear because an apostrophe was added to the letter M. It has to come from somewhere. Welcome to democratic economy, where we follow the structure of the system to identify the underlying mechanisms of inequality. The complete circuit is M, C, then production, then C prime, M prime. The capitalist begins with money and purchases two broad categories of commodities. First are the means of production, raw materials, tools, machinery, buildings, and energy. Second is labor power, the worker's capacity to perform labor. During production, raw materials are transformed. Machinery wears down. Energy is consumed. The existing value of those inputs is transferred into the new commodity. If $10 of wood is used in a table, the table carries that material value forward. If a machine loses $2 of usable life while making it, that value also enters the cost. But moving existing value from one form to another does not explain M prime. Living labor performs the additional step. Workers use the materials and machinery to create a commodity containing new value. The crucial distinction is between labor and labor power. The worker does not sell a completed quantity of value in advance. The worker sells the employer the right to use their labor power for a period of time. The wage is the price paid for that labor power. Once work begins, the labor performed belongs to the production process controlled by the employer. The commodity produced also belongs to the employer. Suppose a worker is paid $100 for a day. During that day, the worker transfers $200 of materials and equipment value into completed products and adds $200 of new value through living labor. The finished commodities contain $400 of value. The capitalist must recover the $200 advance for materials and equipment. The worker receives the agreed $100 wage. That leaves $100 of newly created value under the capitalist's control. The simplified relationship is profit equals labor value created minus wages paid. After the other production inputs have been restored, the sale does not create that difference. The sale converts the commodity into money and realizes the difference as profit. If the product remains unsold, the surplus exists in commodity form, but cannot complete the circuit as M prime. This is why use value remains necessary. The commodity must satisfy a demand or the value cannot be realized through exchange. But use value does not explain where the additional value inside production came from. Living labor does. Part of the working day reproduces the value of the worker's wage. The remaining part produces surplus value controlled by the owner. That is exploitation in the structural sense. It does not require the employer to violate the wage contract. The worker may receive every dollar promised. The exploitation exists because ownership gives the capitalist control over the difference between the value labor creates and the wage paid for labor power. This also explains why profit and wages are structurally opposed. For a given amount of new value, a larger share paid in wages leaves a smaller surplus for capital. A smaller share paid in wages leaves a larger surplus. It is entirely possible for a capitalist to know the exact amount of surplus labor that will get placed into a product. If the product is a staple and has a distribution chain and a price is already in place, the capitalist can pay the worker the true cost of his labor and obtain profit strictly through the use value increase in the product. We will see later how this is prevented through competition with other capitalists. For now, we can simply focus on the fact that paying the true labor value to the worker goes against the capitalist's objective of increasing M prime. The capitalist therefore has an incentive to lengthen the working day, intensify production, reduce wages, improve productivity, or replace workers with machinery, all in the pursuit of increasing M prime. Workers have the opposite incentive. They seek higher wages, shorter hours, safer conditions, and more control over the production process. The interests of the worker and capitalist can overlap in keeping a business alive, but the economic cycles in which they exist remain diametrically opposed. Compare this with an independent producer. An independent carpenter owns the tools, performs the labor, owns the table, and receives the value realized when it sells. The carpenter may still face debt, rent, competition, and unequal exchange, but there is no separate owner automatically claiming the surplus created by the carpenter's labor. Waged labor separates the producer from the product. The worker performs the production. The capitalist owns the commodity. The worker receives a predetermined wage. The capitalist receives whatever remains after the commodity is sold and the costs are paid. This is what connects CMC to MCM prime. The worker sells labor power for money and uses the money to live. The capitalist purchases that labor power, uses it to create additional value, and completes the circuit with more money. The two circuits are not merely happening beside one another. The expansion of one depends on value extracted through the other. The next question is how competition affects this relationship. If one capitalist extracts more surplus, lowers prices, or adopts a more productive technique, competitors must respond. A temporary advantage becomes an industry standard. Socially necessary labor time changes, prices are pulled toward a new gravitational center, and every firm begins chasing another temporary advantage. That is how exploitation inside production becomes a system-wide pressure.